I can't pick these up.
Beppy Rodham G. Today we are going to do a tutorial on how to do speed tombs with the Nomad.
Hello. Alright, so first of all, we're running a very basic setup. Three melees, which of course is Knight, Warrior, and Paladin. A Mystic for support, just to make it a bit easier, and of course a Rogue for the rushing. We're not going to be using a Anchor. Of course, Anchor is optional. You can just bring a mule in or something, but we were too lazy to do that. So first of all, the most important thing about the rogue is when the rogue rushes to a Sark is to stay within the hallway, because otherwise it's very high chance that they will activate. In our particular case, because we have a mystic, we can actually save a Sark very easily, and we can still insta-rip it even if it goes messed up. But
What is insta-ripping?
Not what is insta-ripping. Insta-ripping is basically means they're killing the Sark without awakening any of the priests. Or without killing any priests, rather. So that's what we're going to be basically doing.
The reason you do that is because when the priests awaken, they shoot weakens, which makes the Sark go a lot slower.
Exactly. Of course, it's amazing to have a Mystic because it means that we can prevent all healing and kill it even faster. You need the Knight to stun, and you can do it without both of the boost classes, but it's usually preferred because that way you'll just do more damage. Okay, so we have the Rogue on the Sark. This is gonna be the first Sark. Like I said, we're all in the hallway so that none of the priests awaken as we run in. While the Mystic will stasis everything so we can easily kill it, and there we go.
Bam. Destroy.
You can do it without the Mystic. It's still quite doable. The trick is while running in to not shoot, to not have auto fire on, so you don't awaken any of the priests while running in. And again, doing it from very important to do it from the hallway so that they don't awaken by themselves. If you do it from the room, they will usually awaken by themselves if you even wait a little bit. So we're just taking it safe and just doing it from within the hallway.
One of the downsides to not having an anchor is that between Sarks you kind of have to tango with the priestesses, and you will inevitably get weakened, so you won't really kill all of them before the rogue gets to the next Sark usually. So you just kind of have to sit here and circle with them until he gets to the next one.
It's not too horrible because the weeks don't actually last too long, but it is a bit annoying.
If you do get weakened, you can sometimes still clutch an insta-kill.
Okay, next Sark. Wylum, can you just not stasis this time just to show how it differently looks? Okay, boosts and go. And this is without the Mystic stasis. You just avoid shooting at any of the priests. And you just, well, it's worked perfectly fine here as well. But as you can see, they already started awakening just as we were about to kill the Sark. So it is a bit riskier, but it's very doable. And we usually do it without the Mystic. But having the Mystic really helps. And it also means that if if the rogue accidentally runs into the room and awakens a couple of priests, the Mystic easily saves it and just stasis them. So we can easily go in without having any trouble. So having Mystic for support is amazing.
True.
It also helps for the bosses as well, in case a boss gets accidentally awoken and you don't want him to be weakening constantly. You just wake him up and stasis him and keep him in his place.
Definitely the best support class if you're running this. The most bare bone structure would be the three melees and the rogue, which is very doable. We've ran quite a lot of those with the basic four, but I mean, I'm pretty sure you can even do it with just the three melees, but then you risk nexusing because it is harder to rush with a melee than a rogue. Also, then you have to use Ghost Storms to finish Geb. That's another downside. So the recommended setup is at the very least a Knight, a Paladin, a Warrior, and a Rogue. And then of course we're lucky enough to have a Mystic, which makes everything much easier.
Sorry about that.
Oh, I'm getting scared.
All right, we'll just finish off the other ones with the basic stasising.
A good thing to note also is that you want to make sure the Knight stuns before anybody else shoots. So whoever's playing the Knight, try to stay at the front of the group.
either make sure that the knight stays in front of the group, or just when everyone runs in, just to wait for the knight. Whichever. We had quite a few mishaps where everyone just started shooting and the knight was the last one to come. So then everyone gets weakened. Of course, we did have the mystic, which again is, like I said, the saving grace. So then the mystic just stasis everything, and by the time everyone got unstunned, we could just finish the Sark. So again, mystic's very useful.
And just to clarify, if the knight doesn't stun first and you attack it, it'll instantly stun you.
Yeah, indeed.
Not instantly, but pretty close. Close enough that if you're max, it's basically instant. Like you have to hit it like
if you have a decent
5,
sized
6
group
times.
like this, it'll.
I mean, if any melee character does it, okay, you gotta run back.
We have one G Sark.
AK.
Oh, we forgot
We
about
don't
the
have
G
an
Sark
anchor.
class too.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to.
Oh.
Go to. See if I can hop this wall over here, but I can't.
Dang.
Now about how we're gonna do the bosses. Since we have the damage and we have the setup, well, for speed purposes, we're gonna be doing Nut first, before anything else. This is due to the fact that we can kill Nut so quickly that she will skip through all of her phases, as you'll see soon enough. She will go immediately into Best Hug as well. I think I'll explain more in depth as we're doing it, but the baseline is we're starting with Nut. Of course, it's best if not the knight starts it, because then you avoid getting the group weakened. 2 stuns will almost usually guarantee it, and as we see, Best immediately goes into Hug Nut. We will all kind of stay together so that we can all catch boosts and immediately go on her when she separates. And this is the tricky part. When she goes into her AoE phase, she has a set time till she'll be in the AoE phase, and that's the time we use to put her immediately into rage. That means we'll skip go. We'll skip all of the phases that would be very unpleasant otherwise, and just go straight into rage, as you'll see.
Nope.
Okay, so a bit of a different setup here, but it's still very much so doable since we have the 3 melees, don't have an extra melee.
Are we doing that first?
Yes, we're doing that first. In this case, we didn't have a rogue, so we just swung with it and we did fine. Insta-ripped every single Sark, and now we're on the bosses. Now again, we'll start with Nut, and what's gonna happen is immediately after, Bess is gonna start hugging her, and at this point we still stop shooting and wait till they separate. They will start going through phases. How to tell whether the god is going through another phase is usually they will get mithril shielded right before they go through on the next phase. Sometimes they won't, like the AoE phase. First of all, we're just gonna damage it so she goes into the phase with hugging Bess. Careful of the stray shots that come out of all of the gods when you awaken Nut. And now we just wait. We'll stay clumped up so we can immediately go on her when she separates. You don't have to immediately go on her when she separates. Sometimes she will be in a very bad position. So that way you just wait. Right after she separates with Bess, what happens is she keeps armor breaking, perfect position. She keeps armor breaking herself until you actually kill her or start killing her or damage through another phase. This was done perfectly.
One.
And this is how you insta-rip Nut.
0.
Before we start, let me explain a few things. First, after you are done with Nut, immediately shave off that one noisy artifact on Geb before starting Best, because that one artifact can cause a lot of trouble. A few other things that I wanted to note is when you are like as I was saying, when you are insta-ripping Nut, before she actually starts shooting at her, make sure that you can do a full rotation with her and do the full amount of damage so you can actually rage her. Otherwise, it will be quite difficult because she will actually go into either artifact phase or pre-rage, which is gonna unleash way more artifacts than we have here. Since we did it properly, we only got the basic 3 artifacts. So every god got 1. I think that's it. Becky, did I mention everything? Alright, now we're going on Bes. 2 stuns should do it to avoid weakens. I didn't mention that on Nut. When you start the boss, you would preferably have to just have the Knight stun first, so you avoid the weakens. We're pushing Bes through another phase, an extra phase, which we didn't do with Nut, or we're not gonna do with Geb. Stop shooting, by the way. So that because it's easier to insta-rip them. There's 2 phases in between Awakened and Artifacts. They're both called hug phases, in which, depending on the circumstance, the god will be either hugged or not. First is Nut, well, at least for Bes, first is Nut, then it's Geb. For like Nut, it's first is Bes, then it's Geb, etc., etc. For Geb, it's first, Bes, then Nut. So we pushed him through to Geb hug. Of course, he doesn't actually hug him because unless Geb is activated. So we're just going on to him right now. Be very careful and keep the stun up, and don't be too close. We did this perfectly, so we immediately raged him again. So that was done well. So another thing to note, their AoE phases will always be distinguishable because they'll shoot something around themselves. In Bes's case, he shoots stuns. In Nut's case, paralyzes. In Geb's, he just shoots fireballs around himself.
They weaken.
Other than that, like I said, we just when they go into the reason why we do this through through their AoE phase is because when they go into their AoE phase, they will not go into the next phase, even though you damage them enough, until they actually finish their full rotation with the AoE phase. That's the reason why we do this instead of during that. So now we'll just go on Geb. Again, 2 stuns should be enough. A lot of it depends on the Knight. So the Knight needs to make sure to keep the stuns up, stop shooting, guys. This is gonna be the best hug phase because we do have enough damage to break him through straight from this. You just push him through to when he shoots scarabs, and then you just wait for his AoE phase and do the same thing as with the 2 other gods. Alright, ready. We're not really very well clumped up, but since the 3 melees are in place, it should still be enough. The only concern is actually getting the damage in for the other classes. We did this perfectly, and he immediately went to rage, so we all had to deal with almost no artifacts. In this case, we don't really have a rogue, so we'll finish it with Rum plus Priest. Who has the Rum?
I just dropped it on the ground.
Oh,
Alright, I'm not that good with rumming, so we'll see. Otherwise, Perka is just gonna finish. Perka, don't go in. Let me first do my damage.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
Do you want
me to
like
boost you?
boost? Yeah, boost before
Yeah,
you run
boost.
up there. Oh, yeah, mine's going deep.
I got a stun in, but yeah, Perka finish.
I have a few holy waters if you guys think that would help you at all, or.
Well, that's alright.
Alright.
We just protect Perka and get artifacts off of him. Just while Perka is going to be finishing Geb, just a few things to note. That's the reason why ideally you want to have a rogue, is because it makes the rushing easier and finishing off Geb much easier. Of course, Rums can compensate. In this case, we only had 1 Rum because we already knew we had Perka, so he can finish. Priests can finish because of their range, of course. I don't know. I think I covered everything, Beppy. What do you think?
Was that it?
White bag. Another 9.
And there we go.
Oh, 3 on
This is how
lives.
to do a tomb very quickly. 3-3.